Hey everybody, I'm Ryan Medora, and you may, if you've been following my channel, say, hey, that's a different bass than what you normally use for making videos. Believe it or not, you're right. You can tell that this bass is quite different from the other bass that I usually use. It's bright blue, which is pretty awesome. I just got a new bass. It's a Mike Lull 4-string PJ. And it's pretty sweet, but I figured this would be a great opportunity to tell you a little bit about what I look for when I'm picking up an instrument for the first time, if I'm going to a music store and I'm trying to decide, okay, what do I want to buy, and then also what I usually do if I'm going to like check in with my basses and say, bass, I haven't played you in a little while, how are you feeling? Just to make sure everything's feeling right and I don't need to do any neck adjustments or anything else. This is kind of a process for thinking about what you want to look for on the bass and how you can kind of test it out if you're walking into a music store, or you just ordered a bass and it just showed up and you want to make sure it's got all the things you want. So the first thing, obviously, we kind of are drawn to the aesthetic nature of the instrument. This is pretty cool. This is like Philadelphia Phillies blue with a racing stripe. I think it's pretty rad. But I'm also looking at it in the sense of like, okay, it has this kind of cool, like classic Fender-ish, but not really, a little more modern vibe to it. It's a PJ, meaning I have both a jazz pickup and a P pickup. We don't have too many knobs, which means there's a good chance it doesn't have a preamp and it's a passive bass. And then, hey look, we've got a cool matching headstock. But more importantly than the aesthetic aspect of it is the playability of it. So whenever I'm picking up a bass, the thing that I want to do is I want to feel comfortable playing what I know I will naturally go to play. Meaning, if I'm walking into a music store, a great way to check out if I like a bass or not is to play something that I feel comfortable with, whether it's a groove or a style of bass part, so that like, okay, if I can't do my basic, this is what I'm going to do on the instrument thing on it, then I know it's not for me. So for me personally, what I like to do is I like to just pick up my bass and first and foremost, kind of just play some blues. I'm just going to go play a little blues in G, see how everything's feeling. All right, I dig it so far. It's pretty cool. As you can see, I kind of moved around the neck a little bit, and that's the next thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that not only am I able to play something that I'm more likely than not going to play on a regular basis on the instrument, but I want to explore the range of the instrument and make sure that the neck feels good all across the board. So maybe I'll just kind of like play a similar feel, similar pattern, or play a groove in different spots so that I can check out the different components of the neck or different registers of the neck. So maybe I'll say like, all right, here's a groove. Nice, good, solid tone, feels good down there. Maybe I'll play the same thing up here. Sounds good there. Feels good there. What if I went all the way over here? Feels good there. And really what I'm just looking for and checking for is the ease and the playability of the neck of the instrument, and also for the tone and the intonation. So sometimes if you are picking up a bass and it's not quite intonated well, you might hear it's sharp or flat certain places, or maybe the action's really high. So playing something that's a familiar theme to you and moving it into different parts of the instrument is a really great way to check that. Another thing that I like to do is sometimes just play a chromatic line. I'm like, all right, just feeling good. I'll do the same thing. Go across all strings, so on and so forth. Next, I'm going to check the sound of my open strings. So I'm going to make sure that that E has a really nice, good tone to it, that it resonates well, that it has a nice initial note and a good decay. I'll do that with the other strings, just to make sure I'm not getting any weirdness. And then I'll do the same thing at the 5th fret. At the 7th. And then at the 12th. And as I move higher on the instrument, I'm going to expect the tone to change slightly. You know, as I move closer up, you know, this E here is going to sound different from this E because I'm on a thicker string, I'm further on up the neck. So subtle changes in the tone of the note is common, and it's actually what you want on an instrument. But you don't want the notes to sound sharp or flat. And you also want to make sure that the action isn't too crazy, like out of whack, where it's real low down here and real high up here or anything like that. So now that I've kind of checked that, I also like to check the sustain of the notes, because I play a lot of music where maybe you just go up to a note and you let it ring out for a while, and I want to make sure that it just sustains. So even as I speak over this, you can still hear that this D is ringing out, and that's a nice thing to have. So like if I were to go up here, I'll maybe throw a little vibrato on it, throw a little open string action in there, and maybe I'll play like a nice little chord, just to make sure it all sounds good, it feels good, we're grooving. And then the next thing that I'll do once I get over some of this is check some of the techniques that I envision myself playing on the instrument. So sometimes you know, if you're going to be playing a lot of slap and pop stuff, you want to check that. If you want to be playing with a pick, you want to make sure that you can play with a pick on the instrument. If you're palm muting, I do a lot of palm muting. Feeling good. This is a good bass to palm mute on. I dig it. So I'll just check the different techniques that I envision using on the instrument to make sure that, yeah, I'm capable of doing those things. You know, you might pick up a hollow body bass and realize like, oh man, this isn't necessarily the best thing for slapping. Or you might pick up an instrument that's like really, really bright sounding and you can't get it to be very dark and vintagey in tone. So, you know, it's not necessarily the thing you're going to bring to an R&B gig. But you want to make sure that the techniques that you're going to use you're able to use on the instrument that you're looking for, unless you're looking for something that does a specific thing. And in that case, you know, if you're looking for a fretless bass, it's going to sound like a fretless bass. It's going to behave like one. Know that you're going to play fretless bass things on a fretless bass. And then finally, I'm going to go through my tone controls to really see which knob does what. With a bass like this, typically if you have two controls with a jazz bass or two different pickups, you may have an individual volume knob for each pickup, or you may have a single volume knob and then a blend. A great way to check that is like to turn all the knobs down. You're like, okay, I have nothing. I'm going to take this first one, bring it up. All right, there's my volume. Let's bring it down now and see if the second knob is a volume knob. If I turn it up, it would speak, and it doesn't. So I know right off the bat that this bass has a single volume knob and that this is going to be a pickup blend. So I'll bring my volume back up. And now I know that if this knob like very conveniently has a little midpoint. If I'm at the midpoint, I know I'm equally using both pickups. If I go all the way in one direction, I'm going to my neck pickup. If I go all the way in the other direction, I'm going to my bridge pickup. So now maybe I'll play the same groove in the different positions with different pickups. So this is right in the middle. This is neck pickup only. It's a little darker, a little woodier. And then I'll play the same thing, but I'll go all the way to the jazz pickup. There we got that like high mid-range thing. It's a little like thumpier with the attack. And I'm going to come back to the middle. And then next I'm going to check out my tone control. We have the ability to go all the way up here. Let's see what the groove sounds like there. This is with the tone all the way up. Nice and punchy, good mid-range. I'm going to go all the way down. Ooh, that's dark, but I like it. It almost sounds like palm muting. And then I'll kind of find a sweet spot in the middle, or however I'd like to set it. So in general, whenever you're going to pick up a bass, just make sure that it's going to do what you need it to do. Think about what you envision playing on the instrument. Think about ways you could play it comfortably and let that dictate whether or not it is the right thing for you. I think it's safe to say that this bass is pretty awesome. Checks a lot of boxes, sounds great, feels great, super happy with it, and now you've gotten the chance to hear it as well. That's all the news for now, everybody. I hope you found this video helpful. For more information, please check out my website, RyanMedora.com, or don't forget to hit up either my TrueFire channel or Patreon page for more goodies. And happy practicing, everybody. Keep it groovy.